And good morning, everybody. Welcome to a rather unexpected Saturday video. I did sort of promise you I've got 20 minutes, and I have. And all the meetings went, I'd tag a video onto the end of the Daily Punt stuff, because there's one or two others that's at least worth a mention, I think. Not necessarily in the bigger races either. I think a lot of the supporting cards today are they're quite good, and the novice hurdles are interesting at the very least. It's going to ride tiring, I think. Well, tiring at Kempton apparently, says Brian Clifford, which you sort of understand. I think it's going to be pretty dead ground there. Chepstow is just going to be heavy. They'll get through that. And Wincanton, calling it good to soft, it never gets dreadful at Wincanton. So, and it's Wincanton. There's a couple at Wincanton that's worth a mention. The 11:52 novice hurdle that kicks off the card. The books have put Malinello in his favourite after his win at Market Raisin. I was there that day. That wasn't much of a race, I have to say, but certainly his bumper form last year behind Third Time Lucky and Get Around backs up what he's going to be capable of doing. He's the right favourite. He's got to give £6 away to the rest. Flash Calange is the other one that's got to give weight away after the fact that he's won a novice hurdle as well. And they're the form picks. But I think there's a potential improver here in the shape of Funky Sensation of Tom Simons, who went into the proverbial notebook that doesn't exist when he was fourth to Orby's Legend at Exeter. Not least of which because he didn't look like he had a clue what he was doing that day. But once he was in the home straight and straightened up, he stayed on really well all the way to the line. He looked like he was crying out for a step up in trip. He gets that here. His breeding also suggests that he wants a step up in trip. He's a half brother to a couple that you might remember, Equus Maximus and Border Victor. Both of them stayed 3 mile and stayed it well. I think there's more to come, a lot more to come from Funky Sensation. I think he's going to leave that piece of form well behind, and the fact that he gets £6 and £8 respectively off £6 off the top two rather makes him of interest here. I think he's a decent each way bet. I think he'll be in the frame, and you've got half a chance, I think, of getting the jackpot here from a yard that really have just stepped up this year. They've upped it 1 or 2 gears, and they've shown themselves to be absolutely top gear this year. They really have. I like them, and I like them a lot. There's another maiden hurdle that follows at 12:25, which is slightly less interesting. I was struggling to find anything in there that I particularly wanted to bet. I was half tempted to give Iron Mike another chance after his fall at Plumpton, but I don't know. I'm happy to sit that one out, I think, and just watch. Chepstow, however, there are again a couple of maiden and novice hurdles that are definitely of interest. The 11:45 in 2 hours time. 2 hours time, racing in the morning. It's the future. Just shy of 2 miles for maiden hurdle, and it looks open this to me. Books are going 2-1 Champagne Rhythm, but it didn't improve first hurdle start to second hurdle start when he was second behind Rochester here. Speed figures are all right. They're nothing outstanding. And then you've got De Young Warrior 4-1, and again, he didn't step up first run to second run. I mean, they will step up at some point, of course they will, but I'm sort of making the point that they didn't have that necessary straightaway improvement from first run to second run to third run. That, when you're backing the 2-1 shot, I like to see that personally. I want to see something that's a now horse that's improving now rather than it's for the future. If I'm backing an it's for the future horse, then I want a price about it, and with that, I'm sort of there's 2 in here that both deserve a small mention. Sopran Thor's one of them, but the one that's sort of 40-1, 50-1 this morning, and I think again it's definitely a for the future horse, but you're getting 40-1 rather than 2-1 about it. That's the Badger down the bottom of Henry Daly's, who, again, I was at Warwick when no, I wasn't at Warwick. I said not true. I was watching it on TV, but I got it on extra, so I've got the paddock up. And I saw him in the paddock at Warwick when he finished midfield behind JBY, and he just looked a big green raw animal, as you would expect from Henry's, that just literally you know, they're never going to be their best until they're sort of 8-9 years old almost with Henry. And the fact that he's, you know, a 6-year-old before he makes his debut, or a 5-year-old even. But that was a better effort at Warwick, where he shaped much better in midfield. He wasn't given a hard time of it. He made a bit of ground upon the bridle after 3 out, and just for a second you thought he might get involved. He's only got beat 20 lengths. The speed figure's fine. That was a big step up on what he's done on his previous 2. I think he'll step up again. Again, he's quite a... he's got relations in the family that suggest that this sort of trip is going to be what he wants. He's probably the sort of horse to bet if you've got a Bet365 account with they do those each way extras and extra places, because I think sort of 5th, 6th is where he's going to finish, and you'll still be getting a reasonable price for him finishing 5th or 6th nearer the off. Don't bet him now because he should drift. You know, these 40, 50 shots now on the shows, they tend to drift out to sort of twice that and a bit more, and then you're getting a better price for them for the extra places than you are doing now. So I'd just sort of hold fire. He's interesting, that's the badger, and as I say, if he keeps drifting, then I might be looking at him as an each way bet, but we'll see. The other interesting race in terms of novice hurdles is the 2:30 at Chepstow. Now, here I was at the track when Neon Moon made his debut at Southwell last month, and I nearly did my money on him actually, because he was so green and so raw in the paddock. He got loose at one point actually, and he was very lucky. He ran across the paddock and stood still when it could have been an awful lot worse. He just had no clue what was going on around him at all, and he was his ears were pricking at everything, and he just no idea. And I thought to myself, this is just too green. And then I looked at the pedigree of it, and I thought, oh well, it's never going to have the speed for 2 mile anyway. The dam was a sister to a good hurdler of Simon West called Lovey Dovey, and also perfect candidate. Now that sort of gives you an idea of where Neon Moon's going to be ending up in a couple of seasons time. He's going to be ending up in staying chases. The fact though that he was able to run as well as he did at Southwell and finish 4th, he only got beaten 5 lengths in the end, in what I think is a very good bumper. I think that's a decent bumper at Southwell, and he got beat about 5-6 lengths I think in the end, and the comments is that he was sort of fading out of it. He wasn't. He was actually sticking on really well. He was just sort of, he wasn't running in a straight line in the last 2 furlongs, and once he was straightened up, he stuck on really well. And I think there's an absolute bucket of improvement to come from him today. I really do. And similarly, next season he's going to be one once he goes novice chasing. I think you really want to be watching him. The fact that they've only had the one bumper run and straight over hurdles today shows you he's crying out. I think some hurdles. He's a decent price today, I think, for an each way bet. He's been stuck in at about 13-2. I thought he'd be about 4-1 chance to win this. So at 6.5, I'm definitely going to have a little each way bet on Neon Moon in the 2:30. He's got to step up on what he's done, but I think he will. I think he's going to leave that form well behind. It's 2 mile again today, but the fact that it's going to be testing ground is going to make it a bit more of a stamina test than it would do otherwise. He will want further, but as I say, there's more than enough there. Given I thought it'd be about a 4-1 chance, that I'm going to bet Neon Moon in that 2:30 at Chepstow. That's about it really. The Kempton card, I mean, I've covered off 1 or 2 of the bigger handicaps. There's the 3 mile handicap where I'm going with double shuffle each way. Unfortunately, we're getting some non-runners out of it, and I think that's going to be a bit of a problem this morning. I think non-runners are going to slightly wreck the card a little bit. We'll see. 2:20 at Kempton is the real key, where I thought Somerville Boy had a decent chance. I totally get the case from McFabulous. 11-10 is short enough though, for me, given his form is not that much better than 1 or 2 of these. But it's the step back in trip, I think, for McFabulous that's the key. I think 2.5, 2.5 is probably what he wants rather than 3 mile. The Sylvan Yarko Conti, both me and Rory agree, we've put it up on the Sporting Life, that Master Tommy Tucker at 7-2 is probably a bet. If he puts a clear round in, I think he'll take a bit of catching. He can hit one. We know he can hit one. And then in the Lanzarote, I've given a couple in there a mention, as well as Everglow, who I think is well handicapped. I'm obviously a big fan of One True King. I ought to mention One True King. I should have done in the preview, really, but the trip's a slight concern. Pedigree says he'll want it, but I don't know. He's such a quick, slick hurdler. He just looks an out-and-out two-miler to me at the moment. I'm, listen, I'll be delighted if he wins. Absolutely delighted if he wins. I really will, because it sort of backs up my faith in him that I've had all season, really. And then from there we can move on to the festivals and find the right race for him. But we'll see. I'd rather back Polish at 18s and Everglow, who's drifting out now. He's about 8 to 1, Everglow, and it's looking a bit of a price, that, to me now. Marvelous Promise was the other one that got a mention after his wind up. I think he would have probably have won at Fontwell. They hadn't completely gone for him at that point. I think he could be a good ride, for Richie McLean. And the more I sort of think about it, it's a sit still, be quiet ride, and then come there with your chance between 2 out and 1 out. And he's drifting out as well. He's going to end up, a stupid price, and it may well be that with the extra places, some of the firms are going. I think Sky Bet are going 7 this morning, and there's a couple going 6. So you've got extra places galore, and it may well be I end up having a couple of bets on the race. We shall see. There we go. I just thought I'd say I'd throw that together for you. Next week I'm going to be at Wetherby on Tuesday, hopefully for Dame de Compagnie's Chase debut, which will be interesting. I wasn't really expecting that. Came up in the entries. Hadn't seen anywhere that said she was going chasing this season, so presumably if she jumps well if she goes at Wetherby, jumps well and wins, then presumably the Mayor's Chase is going to be where she goes for the festival rather than the handicaps, which is I thought they might have another go with the Coral Cup this year, because she's still under 150, and I think she is a 150 horse, so I'm a little bit surprised. We'll see. Maybe that's what will happen. So I shall report back on that, plus a couple of other meetings that I've been to next Friday on the pond, because there are 1 or 2 eye catches I've seen that need a mention. Right, have a good Saturday. Glad all the racing's on. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.